All right, everybody. Welcome back to Comics Only, the only podcast where comedians talk with other comedians. My guest today is writer, comedian, and new member of the Phoenix comedy scene, Jocelyn Porter.
Hello, hello. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm chilling.
Thanks
Happy
for
to be
being here.
Yeah, thank you.
How long have you been doing comedy now? I said you're a new member of the Phoenix comedy scene, and in my back of my head,
15 years.
I was like worried you were going to be like, I've been doing comedy like 8 years, dude.
No,
you're new, right?
You're on the money. No, yeah,
Okay,
I've been. So we're in June. I've been doing it just about a year and like 3 months now.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was just talking to somebody about this. I feel like the longer you do comedy, the more you realize that you haven't been doing it that long. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like at like a year in, I was so enthusiastic, and it was like almost hilarious how much it's like I felt like, oh, I'm a real comedian now. And now like 5 years in, it's like I feel like a fraud constantly. And
like you don't even tell people. Like, what do you do for fun? You're like, nothing. I do nothing for
bother
fun.
strangers in bars, just make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
They're like, women? It's like, no, everybody.
Literally everybody. Like the bartenders hate me, everybody. But it's funny because like on Instagram, my name is comicjocelynporter. And in my head, I've always thought like there's going to be a point where I'm like, I'm going to try to take the comic out of the username. I feel like there's gonna reach a point where I'm like, am I really a comic? You know, it's just Jocelyn tells jokes or something, you know?
Just change it to suicidal Jocelyn Porter.
Please laugh, Jocelyn will kill herself. Jokes.
Yeah. I've been making people promise not to start comedy when I'm on stage. I'm like, hey, promise you won't start doing this to yourself. They're like, okay, dude, chill out.
Like, no, you have a lot to live for. You have a lot to live for.
You don't have to do this. We do.
How long have you been doing comedy?
5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like, I feel like you're a preteen in the comedy world a little bit.
Yeah, kind of. People say that you're just like the age.
Right,
that, like whenever you started. So like, I guess I'm a 5-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. And the longer you do it, the more you realize it's true. Mm-hmm. And you start to see like a real difference between people like Jorge, who we just saw, who's been doing comedy like 15 years. Yeah. And like he came by a room I was running, and there was maybe 9 people in there. And, like, everybody's bombing. And then he just went up there, and every single person in the room was laughing at everything he said. And it was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like, the ability, it's like, to make people laugh, like, that's a thing. But, like, the ability to, like, metaphorically lift a room. Yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just lifted that entire room with myself.
And to not be intimidated when everybody else is doing bad. And, like, a lot goes into it. Yeah.
I hate to use the term polished because I feel like it's overused. But polished is, like, what comes to mind with those people for sure.
Yeah. And not just in their jokes, but in their presence. Yeah, exactly.
Commands a room, for sure. Like, before they even walk up to the mic, as they're walking up, like, oh, this guy's going to be good. Yeah.
What was the first open mic you did?
I was a psychopath. I did Stir Crazy.
Nice.
Because at the time, so before I got into comedy, I just was an audience member. So, like, I went to, like, the Burnout roast, like, when Tristan Bowling was still here. Yeah.
Whoa, crazy.
So, like, I can remember, like, AV running those Burnouts, and, like, I was too scared to get into comedy. I'm like, I still want to see what's out here, you know? So I would, like, watch that. And then eventually I was like, I don't know any open mics. Lamar, I talked to him at one of, like, the open mics, and I was like, how do I do this? He's like, well, I run the Stir Crazy mic. So I signed up for that, and not knowing how packed that room gets. Like, that room gets extremely packed.
Yeah. It's a little insane to do to yourself. Yeah.
And, like, I had never run any of these. Like, these were, like, I had a full 5 minutes. I brought, like, my 3 coworkers, and I was like, so I can get the 5 minutes. Like, okay, I don't know if it's going to be good. I've never run these jokes before, but it went really, like, I'm grateful because I have video. I got the Brian video of my first set.
That's cool.
It went decent. It went decent. And I was, like, dressed.
Of course it did. You're at Stir Crazy.
Right.
Sold out room.
Easy. And I was like, okay, I did good. But, like, I feel like if I had done something like wayward or something like bullshit, oh man, like, I hear people like, my first mic was bullshitters, and I'm like, wow.
My first mic was tough. Yeah. But people are really nice if they know it's your first time.
Oh, for sure.
So even comics will kind of, like, laugh at you, which is nice.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to, like, put you off.
No.
Your first time. They're like, let them have a taste. And then we'll freeze them out every set from here on forward forever.
Exactly. And I feel like with the Stir Crazy mic, that's kind of how it went for me, because I was like when I got there hella early, like, put myself to the side, like, sit and wait. And as I saw, like, more and more people rolling in, I'm like, oh, what did I just do? Oh, man. Like, I don't know if I'm about to bomb in front of my coworkers, dude. Like, people I got to work with 40, 60 hours a week. So, like, when they started, like, rolling in and, like, when I went up, I was just like, you know what? I wish I just went to Coops. Or I wish I just went to, like, you know, some bullshooters or something.
God, rest in peace, Coops.
I remember doing the Coops.
Oh, my
like,
God, Coops was
being
wild.
an audience member in Coops and still being intimidated
really?
by that.
Jesus Christ.
Going, like, I don't know if I
the
can
fact that wasn't enough, that you're like, all right, fuck it, I'm going up tonight. Nothing matters. Now, clearly, if anybody even shows up to this, nothing matters at all in the entire universe.
Did you ever see, like, the guy that was, like, running the mic, who was, like, a hypnotist? He was, like, a guy that, there was a time when I would, like, go to Coops as an audience member, and there was, like, a hypnotist.
Was it Jonathan Mark Smith?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I just remember, but he had like a hypnotist in his name. Like it was a part of his like nickname.
Yeah.
All I remember is like he would bring people up, and then in the middle he'd be like, "You guys want to see something?"
And just hypnotize people. God, I fucking hate hypnotists. Always showing up to open mics. Like, here, let me do 30 minutes. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Tell some jokes. God damn it.
Come on. Yeah.
All right. So you did Stir Crazy. That's a pretty like. I don't know if it's better to do like a dead room or like a packed sold out room because you get a good taste.
You get your
but
ego
a lot
boosted.
of people,
Huge when you
a
do
lot
a
of
room
people
like
who
that.
have that good first set get kind of addicted to that, and like it takes them a while, or maybe they don't even get it in general to realize that you have to do bad rooms too.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. No. Right.
You can't just go do Stir Crazy.
Don't be safe. You can't be safe.
Right.
Well, was your first set really good, or was it just like just enough for you to be like, no, I need to keep doing
It was
this?
just enough that I didn't hate myself for
nice.
getting on stage
Yeah.
and even trying.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
feel
wasn't great, but like I was very proud that I did it, and I had a really strong like rush or high coming off stage. Like, whoa, I can't wait to do that again.
Yeah.
And then I bombed. For
I was about
like,
to say, how did you handle that first bomb? The first bomb, how'd you handle it?
I mean, I bombed for like 6 months, dude. I was terrible. Like,
yeah.
people, I don't think it's good when people say like you can't learn comedy or whatever. Like I did not have natural stage presence at first, and it took me a long time just to get comfortable enough to even be myself on stage to the point where I could deliver what's funny about what I'm saying. Like,
yeah. I think that's like highly not talked about. Is like everyone knows who they are, right? Like you can see people who's like, oh, that guy just doesn't know who he is. But I feel like we all know who we are, but like delivering that to an audience and like translating that to an audience can be difficult. Like I feel like you don't realize that until you start doing comedy. You're like, do I know who I am? Like you come off of like, you're like, I don't even know who that guy on stage was. Like, like that. I felt a couple sets like that where I was like, I don't even know that bitch. Like, I don't even like, like I feel like that's what's like stand up as I feel like has made me learn too is like I know myself, but like, do I really know myself to be able to just translate it?
Oh
to
no,
an
for
audience,
sure. It's
you know?
definitely like a journey and like self-exploration or whatever, which is kind of weird, but.
Yeah, right? Like, who would have thought in the back of a smelly, nasty bar that I was finding myself? Oh, no.
But you do. You, like, say things, and you're like, that didn't matter to me. Why'd I even, like, say that?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
and then you say things, you're like, oh, I like saying that. I want to say that again.
More. Yeah, and then, like, when things that you don't even think would get a laugh got a laugh, you're like, okay. Like that, like I feel like that's when I feel a door open, where it's like I feel like I know what's funny, blah blah blah, and then when I'm not trying to be funny and that gets the laugh, I'm like, maybe I don't know what's going on. Like that's a whole nother door opened up. It's like like explore that avenue a bit more, you know? Like especially that's why I feel like the bullshooters mic is really fun because it's like I'll have my jokes at bullshooters, but it's like honestly, just go up there and just.
Yeah, bullshooters has been dope recently.
Right? Yeah. The last couple of Tuesdays, I'm like, wow, a lot of strangers in the room, responsive strangers. It's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
It can be tough sometimes. What's your writing process like? How often do you write?
I need to do more. I need to really sit myself down and do that one more. But I feel like a lot of my writing process so like I do my weed job on the full-time weed job, just like making weed vapes, and then bartending, serving. A lot of stuff comes from, I feel like, just bartending, serving.
I'm sure.
In the sense of like talking to guests all day about life experiences.
You got to get good at like writing stuff down when you say something. You're like, oh, that's funny.
I forgot
that's
that
interesting.
happened. Yeah, like shit like that. Like that's a really good, I feel like I'm lucky to have that job because that's a really good exercise for me without even like really trying.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like sitting myself down and like writing, like I have a notebook full of like my notebook is organized like here's premises and then here's actual jokes and punchlines and whatnot.
Nice, yeah.
So like I have a fucking pages full of premises, but when it comes down to like getting the punchline and like working that out, I find like the only real time is like when I'm talking to people. Like, I know like some people are able to just like sit themselves in a room by themselves and go. And I'm like, I'm not that. Like, I'm not that. Like, I truly, a lot of it comes, like, that's why I do try to surround myself with people and go to mics as much as I can. Nice,
smart.
Because it's just like, in conversation, it's like, oh, yeah, that's fucking funny.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where the ideas come from as long as they come. Yeah.
I'm much more of like, if I can just be conversational constantly, I can write. But if like, I have weeks where, that's what was rough too when I was first getting into comedy was I was working 2 jobs that were very demanding and then like having to support like my family and stuff. So it's like I was missing the Blue Shooters mics. I was missing the Wayward mics. I was missing a lot of these mics where I would be able to surround myself with people, have conversations, and then like leave at the end of the night with like some kind of material.
Sure.
So it's just like I find myself, if I'm isolated, I don't write as well. Whereas if I'm more social,
that makes sense.
Yeah, but some people are able to just be isolated. Like, no, I need to be isolated. Like, I need to sit myself down and like write. But I don't know. I don't find myself like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I imagine you have to be like really disciplined then about like being like, hold on, let's stop this conversation. I need to write this down. Because, like, otherwise it's just, like, comes out and then it's just gone again.
It's gone. You know? There's been times, too, I'm trying to remember. I think Derek caught me doing this one time. Well, I'll do a thing where, like, if I'm in conversation, I don't have my notebook with me. Rarely do I not have it with me, though. But I do, like, if I don't have it with me and, like, conversation's going, I'll pull my phone out, put the video on.
Yeah,
the
and just record it.
And I'll just really fast, like, get that and I'll say, like, keywords. I'll be like, blah, 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 like, Bin Laden, trailer trash, yes. And just like, please remember what the fuck I'm talking about later.
So I want to hear your Bin Laden bit.
I have a lot of weird videos where it's like keyword, and then like I look back at it later and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know what the fuck that one was.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. But that's pretty much so far though. I know that's gonna evolve though. Like only a year into comedy, I'm sure like it's gonna evolve it. I see people with postcards, note cards, other things. I feel like
I mean, you might want to practice at some point just sitting down and being able to write shit, just whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bits or like punchlines. Just like practice sitting at a computer and writing words and see what comes. Because sometimes you never know. And you might find that it doesn't work for you at all. And you're like, I can't do it. But you like probably some good in like trying.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I try to write every day. It's hard. It's really hard. And some days you just sit there and there's like nothing and you just get like kind of mad. But like the more you do it, the more your ability to do it kind of like comes out. You get better at it. And really, it's really easy to write if you have something to write about. Like, right. If you've like taken a premise and you're like, okay, I have this premise and you can just sit and kind of think about that rather than trying to like come up. Like I can't come up with premises. I cannot sit down and just think of a funny idea. It's impossible to me.
Fair.
But if I have something I've noticed that I wrote down earlier, I can usually write about that. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
I found myself too, like when I first started doing stand-up, I would see people with notebooks. I'm like, oh, I don't think I need a notebook. And like, I would just straight like memorize sets. But then as I started getting into it more, I'm like, okay, well, I need the notebook. And I feel like then that just the notebook alone really makes you want to write more. Like that just alone, whereas like if you don't have that. But like, as I started writing more, I would also like find myself just like doing the premises or trying to write the jokes. And it's just too long, like trying to shorten it out and stuff like that. Because I don't know, are you the kind of comic where it's like you can go like a minute without laughs until you get that laugh and like you feel comfortable? I'm the type where I'm like, I need a laugh. I need a laugh.
Not
like
usually. I have a couple bits where where it's probably 30 seconds of setup before I really get to the punchline.
Yeah.
And it's what that bit needs. And I'll only ever do that bit in a long set at the end when I've already got a lot of laughs. And it's like,
this is the one I can show
you. It's okay a little bit if I slow down for a second. I've showed you the last 7 minutes you guys have been laughing. Yeah. I can take 30 seconds for this premise.
Yeah.
And, but in general, no. If I'm not getting a laugh every 15 seconds or so or whatever.
Hard. Yeah, it's really hard to sit with that. Yeah. And like I'm a theater kid, so like I was doing theater in like high school, middle school, like all that stuff. So I feel like coming into the comedy scene, I was like trying to hone that knowledge in and kind of be like, oh, you know what, like sit and play with time on stage and sit in the uncomfortableness and stuff. You know, and as soon as I try to do it on stage, I'm like, nope, I am telling my cheap material. Like I ain't gonna get whatever the fuck laughs I can get right now. Like yeah.
I mean, sure. I don't know. I think that's the goal, being as funny as possible from the moment you step on stage. It's like if I can say something immediately that I think will make people laugh, I'll do it. A lot of times if I'm on a show and people have either run the light or used notes a lot, that's the first thing I'm going to say is give it up for all the comics who needed notes to do a 5-minute set. Give it up for all the comics who ran the light at the club. That's a really good look. They really like it when people do that. Like, especially at Stir Crazy when, like, half the room gets played off every week. I'll go with that a lot.
I have such a good story on that. So, my second, I think it was either my second or third Stir Crazy mic, I had a couple, like, my first mic went really good. Second mic really good. So I think it was like my third Stir Crazy mic. At this point I had been bringing people, so like I was like doing the 5-minute set thing. And so the third time around, like I don't know if it was like a miscommunication between Lamar and me or Lamar and Brian, I don't know, but I had people and I was supposed to do 5 minutes. So you know how Brian starts playing people off, you run the light after 3 minutes, he starts playing music off. So like I'm in the middle of like this like setup for this like punchline, and then the music starts playing. It's like this whole thing on stage. I just get, and like mind you too, like this is like my third set, so like I'm feeling confident. I invited my coworkers, my boyfriend at the time's in the crowd. All this fucking shit. I'm a hot comic, like all this shit.
That's so insane.
And then like the music starts playing, and I feel like I didn't even buy the video off of Brian for this one. I was like, I don't even want to look at it. Like,
of course,
I don't even want to look at it. But it was, what to me, as like I look back on, is Lamar's like, were you supposed to do 5? And I was like, from the sidelines, you know, where the comics in, I'm like, yes. And he was like, "Oh, we'll get you next time."
Jesus, that's you're like, that's gonna really help with my trauma from tonight, Lamar. Thank you.
That was that was my first major bomb, and I think I still sometimes like wake up in a cold sweat, like hearing the music.
Yeah, that song. Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. So I'll clown on people for that, for what you did.
As you should. As you should. Rookie shit though. That's the thing.
Well, kinda, just in the sense that for sure you got a light and just didn't see it.
Because like in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm only 3 minutes in. I don't need to look at that fucking
Because
like
if you had seen the light, you could have been like, hey, Lamar, I think I was supposed to do 5, and like made it a thing, rather than having it surprise you.
Exactly, and I think that's what's so beautiful about comedy is like that being my third mic. That professionality you just explained, not in my head at that time. So in my head at that time, like, oh yeah, embarrassment, shame, so that's what I think.
I've been telling people, it's not very popular. I've been telling people that you should have to go on stage at open mics 100 times before you get to do Stir Crazy. It's like, it's a waste of time. Like, you're not even good yet, and you're going up in the, like, most professional environment. Like, people don't even realize what a disservice they're doing themselves. Like, just in the sense that, like, you could have been in a place where that never happened to you. Not that it really matters.
No, I know what you're saying, but exactly what you're saying.
If you had gone up 100, if you had just gone to Wayward Bullshooters
100 times, and then that happened,
and whatever, you know, do 3 mics a week or 4 mics a week for 20 weeks or whatever, 25 weeks.
Exactly. It would have been way different.
Yeah. And like, it's so infuriating when you're there, like trying to get a standby spot, watching somebody who never does stand up bomb for 3 minutes. And you're like, what? Are we even like, No, that's not.
No. Yes, the first couple of months, I'm sure. I feel like the few mean mugs I got from comics were standby comics.
Yeah.
You fucking dumb bitch.
Well, I do get furious at comics. I only see it Stir Crazy. It's like, why don't I see you anywhere else?
I do. At first, when Lamar switched up the way it's signed up, I was like, well, this is weird. But the way it is now, I'm like, no, I kind of do like how like the sign up is now.
It's more fair.
Yeah, it's more fair, and I feel like
I don't know if that means I'm on stage more or less there, but because I was like pretty good at like how fast you had to be.
I had like the autofill. I was like, okay, cool, awesome, perfect. Yeah. Now I feel like I'm being like, this is what sucks is like this last week I had gotten it, and this is one of those things where it's like, damn, I feel like one of those comics that wasted another comic's time, but I had gotten it, and then my roommate conveniently had an asthma attack when I got home.
Yeah, fuck you, roommate.
She's chill. She's healthy. She's happy. But when I got home, she's like, I'm not breathing well. Like, can I like hang out in your room with you while you get ready? I'm like, yeah. So I'm getting ready for this open mic. Turn over. She's like the whole time, I'm like, oh, let's get you to the hospital. I text Lamar. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm so fucking sorry, but my roommate's having a thing. She's fine now. But as soon as she was fine, like we got the A-OK, I'm like, I hope you know. Kind of ruined a big thing for me on Wednesday. I had a lot of new material I was trying to get recorded, but
you're like, hey, I almost got to do 3 minutes at an open mic, and I didn't because of you. It's a big deal.
Thanks, bitch.
That's so insane. That's so funny. Yeah, it's like so weird how we're conditioned as comics, like, because I know what you mean exactly. I would be insanely disappointed. I had that happen to me about a year ago. I was on the list at Stir Crazy, and I caught COVID and didn't go. And Lamar was like, yeah, we'll get you up next time. And then he just didn't remember. And I like, at the time, I didn't want to be like, know him well enough.
Do you remember when you said that one time?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
It's a lot better knowing people. It's funny how much, when you realize how much comedy is just knowing people, has very little to do with how funny you are or... Yeah. Like, you have to be good at stand-up, but, like, not even... Like, you just have to be, like, just good enough. Like, it's not...
Yeah. And it's, like, being friendly with the right people.
And then, like, the better you are at stand-up, the more of, like, an asshole you can be. Or, like, you can get away with shit if you're, like, funnier.
Yeah.
But there's, like, a pretty low standard for, like, I don't know.
No, it's true. It's true. The bar is kind of right there. And I feel like going to Austin, like, when we went out to Austin... I feel nothing against the Phoenix comedy scene. Like, I feel like for being just some fucking Southwest town, like we got a good comedy scene out here. It's everything's really spread apart, and I feel like we could use a couple more mics. But otherwise, like especially you're out here, like stuff out here, we could use more stuff out here. But with that being said, I feel like the scene's good. But going out to Austin, like if you're hungry for comedy, that town rewards you. Like whether you know X, Y, and Z who runs that mic or like whatever the fuck. Like if you're just good and you're hungry for comedy, that town like gives you rewards. Like Randall Rosie, when we were out there, we didn't know fucking nobody out. Obviously, we're from Phoenix, but he just did really good on a random like. This open mic was in the middle of the day on a Friday. It was like 2 p.m. on a Friday. He did really good at this mic, and then the guy that was running it was like, "Hey, liked your shit. I run the mic downstairs tonight at 8 p.m. Do you want to be on it?" Nice. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I feel like in Phoenix, not that doesn't not happen, but I do feel like there are people who do really good, and I don't think they're going to be approached like that unless they reach out to X club or X promoter or whatever and be like, "Hey, can I?"
The clubs here don't give a shit about the local
they're not going to. Like, you have to beg.
The only one that kind of does is House of Comedy, and even them.
Yeah.
And I guess I talk so much shit about them, but also JP's.
I hear about JP's.
But like JP's is very insular and like supports the Phoenix comedy scene insofar as like they'll bring people to his show. Like it's not, it's not like a scene focused club either. None of them are, and it kind of sucks.
Which I feel like that is just the one thing that's lacking in, like, to make it, like, a perfect comedy scene. I feel like we have good people running good mics, X, Y, and Z, but with the club support. Yeah. Support from the club, support from, like, actual comedy, like, clubs is a little rough.
It is a little rough. But I also get it that, like, it's hard, you're like taking a risk with the Phoenix comedy scene, putting people on stage like local comics. You know what I'm talking about. You like might get a fire set, or you might get like a crazy Holocaust joke, and like
from some like white ASU frat boy,
right? And like, I can't blame Stir Crazy. Like I've worked a weekend there, and like it's a bunch of old people from Sun City. Like, I can't blame them for being like very specific about who they book. And if you like look, it's like mainly cleaner comics.
Because I mean that's where
like
their
older
clients'
comics,
money is coming from.
Right. It's who's paying.
Yeah.
So like the real answer is that it's not that hard to book shows at the clubs. Like if that's what you want to do and you think you have the ability to get people out to a show, it's not that hard to get a show at Stir Crazy. It's not that hard to get a show at House of Comedy, or Mic Drop Mania. So it's like local comics need like what Devin's doing with his shows.
Yes.
If people did that a little bit more and can like kind of build up some like local shows that have like followings, because there are talented comics here for sure. There's a lot, but it's like I said, like I don't blame the clubs for like being really careful about who they book on weekends, even if I wish it was me more often.
Shout out. Yeah, I feel like it's not a risk. The clubs aren't risk takers. They're not.
They're
not,
and they can't be.
And risk taking.
Yeah.
Places like New York, LA, Austin, you can be a risk taker club. Like there was fucking. Like on the weekend we were there was 14 to 20 mics to be had, and everyone there that's a local was telling us this is the slow part of the week.
That's crazy.
So like so I can only imagine how the weekends are. So I feel like in a town like that, the clubs can fucking take a risk. They can take a risk.
Yeah. Also like Rogan's Club, there is no risk. You can say whatever you want there.
Exactly.
Like the audience knows what comedy is and what's happening.
Right.
So you can't say that for a 70-year-old at Stir Crazy. Like they
who doesn't even pick up.
I fucking did this show last Wednesday. It's at this wine bar in Peoria. Everybody in there was 60 or older. I was having a fucking panic attack, dude. I told them.
With the stuff that you do too.
Yeah.
It's like
and like, there's only so much I can adjust my set. I told him, I went up there and I was like, I'm looking at this crystal chandelier having a nervous breakdown. Like, I'm positive you guys aren't going to like these dumb dick jokes.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, maybe we will. I was like, I hope you do. Here we go.
Yeah.
And just went into it.
Yeah.
And they didn't love me. They were pretty nice, but
no, like this is what sucks is like my super hacky, like stuff that I go, I hate that I wrote that. That works with them. That like,
I know,
and stuff that doesn't make me happy saying, but I'll say it like if it's them. Because I've had a couple Stir Crazy crowds where it is purely AARP crowd, and like I was telling jokes about like how there's more war behind the eyes of an Olive Garden server than a Vietnam War vet.
Yeah,
that's not gonna kill with all the Vietnam War vets that are in the crowd. Like they don't get that, and like so stuff like and especially because it's like talking about like dabs on stage or the weed weed joke.
They're not even gonna kind of get it.
And I'm not gonna explain shit. I'm not the explainer. Like it's
dabs.
Yeah, like it's freebasing marijuana.
I did a joke about suicide, and I was like, I really thought you guys were going to like that. And I was talking to Devin about it afterwards. And he was like, yeah, dude, they know people who have killed themselves. That's a good point, actually.
That's the issue. Yeah. Well, don't they know I'm a runner-up? Can't they respect that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't bomb the hardest on the show, so I was happy. I was fine with it.
Yeah.
As long as somebody does worse than me.
That's what you look for, right?
I'm kidding.
I didn't know that.
Oh, man.
I'm not,
I do. I mean, I do constantly compare myself to all the other comics on shows.
How do you not, though, right?
Yeah. You're weird if you don't.
I
also talk shit a lot about other people, and like my defense is, for sure, people talk shit about me. I like talking shit. Like, how about we all just talk shit about each other?
Yeah. Like, what's the quote is comparison is the thief of joy.
No,
fuck
comparison
that. It brings me a lot of joy, son. Yeah.
Oh my
God. I feel that. I try not to compare myself, but especially like every open mic, any performance, I'll try to be like, if it's before me, it's like that guy did that bad. Okay, I feel a lot better. Like I'll be okay. I'll be good. But like, at the same time too, like when I've done that with people where I'm like, this guy's gonna bomb, but then they end up having it. Like the guy that normally bombs has a really good set, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, hold up. What kind of crowd are we dealing with here?
Right. I'd rather follow someone funny than someone who bombs every time. Like, you can't be so funny that I'm intimidated, but you can bomb hard enough that I am.
Oh yeah, like do you know how lucky I got with the Kill Tony shit? And the guy, a Mars Martian, went on before me. He this horribly hated. Let me put it this way: when we were at the bar getting called, when his name got called at the bar to go on Kill Tony, the entire bar went, "Oh fuck." Like, the guy that went before me bombed horribly bad. And he's, like, super fucking hated. So much so that before I went on, the producers were, like, giving me the rundown. Like, here's the rules. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then they were like, and by the way, the guy that went on you bombed. So you could bomb, too, but you'll probably still do better than the guy that went on before you. So I was like, okay, cool.
That's a cool reassurance.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
I mean,
chill.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
That's funny. I don't feel like that's how comedy works normally, though. Like, I don't feel like somebody doing bad makes somebody else seem funny. I feel like somebody doing bad makes the next person seem less funny, usually.
Yeah, usually. I've seen that, too. And that's, like, before I got into comedy, that's, like, I feel like the common logic, right? Like, coming from theater, I used to be in ballet, too, is, like, if the girl before me in ballet or whatever, if her sequence went horrible, then I'm gonna ace this shit. It's like kind of the logic,
right?
But like what you just said, I feel like comedy kind of turns that on its head a little bit, because it's like the guy before you could do really bad, and then now the audience is just like checked out, like they don't and then you could start bombing, and it's not going to be like, oh, this is better than the last. The audience doesn't think that way,
right? No,
they don't go, well, this is at least better.
They're like, this is bad too.
This is also bad. That's exactly how they think. Like maybe as comics we think, well, at least I didn't do as bad as the last guy, but the audience is like, well, this is another dud.
That's such a good point that I'd never considered. That we're constantly comparing ourselves. The audience never is.
No.
They're never like. No. I mean, I guess sometimes I've heard stories, or hey, you just met. He was telling me a story about he was on a show at Stir Crazy and he was featuring, and he was hanging out with the headliner afterwards, and somebody came up to him, didn't see the headliner was there, and just like, man, you should have been headlining tonight. You were fucking great. And the headliner threw a fucking fit. Like, I guess he didn't want him on the show the next day or whatever. Like,
oh man, that's a heavy thing to put on the guy that's just featuring.
Yeah, and then Jorge's just like, like crushed, like I'm in trouble for being funny. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. The audience will most definitely just recognize that. That's what, and it's funny too. Is like my mom the entire time she's watching, because she wanted to watch KT live and like wait for my part. Every comic, she's like, this guy sucks, like texting me. Even the golden ticket winner, who I feel like was very funny, she's just like,
yeah, it's your mom.
Yeah, that's like for sure. But it's just like, I feel like it's one of those things. Like if you have bombs, it's like you can be such a good comic, you lift the room. Yeah. But like if you're an audience member, I feel like you can be so fed up after so many bombs that you're just kind of like, you kind of resign a little bit, you know, for sure. Yeah, it's your mom. Yeah, okay. Well, my mom hates me, so give me a chance. Okay.
Does she? Sounds like she doesn't. Sounds like she's pretty supportive.
Like the first little compliment I got from her.
How much? Does she come see you a lot?
She saw me like one time.
Yeah.
Recently. Yeah, that was about
that's about it.
I feel like and then like it's funny because like my dad is like I feel like parents are just like convinced you have just all your materials about them. Like I feel like
really?
Parents are like like my parents are like, oh, I'm sure you're just making tons of jokes about us. I'm like, nah,
you're so important.
Yeah, that type of deal. So like I feel like that's what kept them away. But outside of that, my mom saw one. She's like, that was interesting.
It's like hard to explain. It's like it's a lot more random than that. It's like whatever I just happen to think of it. That's funny. Like it's not. Can't just like choose. I wish I could. It'd be a cool skill to have, to be like, I want to write a funny joke about that blue drink.
Right. Like that level of brain
would be so good. Yeah. No, like I just every now and then something makes me giggle and I'm like, all right, I should write that down and see if I can make other people laugh with that. It seems to work. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you set goals for yourself for comedy?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. So, like, when I first did my first Stir Crazy mic, after that, I was like, okay, this time next year, I want to be like, I want to have had somebody in the scene come to me and go, hey, you're funny.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty reasonable goal.
That's like my first goal. And Daniel Bridgegad, He put me on the DBG and Friends like a couple times.
I heard that show's really hard to get on.
And that's what I felt grateful for.
I
was kidding. I know.
Okay.
No.
If that joke had legitimately gone over your head, I would have been like, what the hell are we doing here?
There's sometimes too where I'll be like, there was like the second show. I feel like it was the second show I was on with him. I was like, oh, I see why you booked me on it. Because I'm a server bartender. Yeah. As soon as one server finds out at my restaurant, all 20 of them want to go to the show.
Oh, that's sick, actually.
So it works out, but I think he knows that. Because like there's another female comic he's booked on it who's a server bartender, and same thing. 20 of her, 40 of her bartender friends came. So I think Daniel's like, a lot of these server comedians bring a lot of money to So I told him that the second time around. I was like, I see what's up. I see your game, Daniel. And he just kind of like laughed. But I'm still like, at the end of the day, though, I know that getting into it, it's like, I know that. If they book me because I'm a female, if they book me because I bring 20 fucking friends and that's $15 a ticket, whatever the case, right, it's still exposure, because I will still say this. Even though it's easy to get on those shows, at the end of those shows, I would still leave with, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 organic Instagram follows. 3, like 3,
no, that is a lot.
Like people
that
coming up to you like,
a lot.
what's your Instagram? You know, like that. And that to me, especially still only being a year in, is special to me.
Hey, comedy's hard enough as it is. You have to take advantage of everything you can get.
Right.
For sure, there's plenty of disadvantages that you get for being a woman, too. So, like, if you get booked on a few more shows because they need to fill those spots, big fucking deal. People can deal with that. Like,
it happens.
Yeah. Oh, of course it does. Yeah. There's just more. It's good. Like, people want to see a show with lots of different people on it. They don't want to just see 6 white guys in a row.
And that I can respect. Because, like, I've seen
the comedy
those shows,
demographic, there's a lot of fucking white guys. So, like, they just kind of have to, like.
The 4, 5, 6 of us that are in the scene, we have to fill the void. Yeah. And I get that. That's something I can respect 100%. Yeah. And I think that's partially why, like, at shows, me personally, this is like a personal choice. I can dress up. I can get pretty, but at shows, when I do shows, I like to just dress like a dude. I dress down. I like wayward, all that. I like to dress down purely because it's like I don't want to be hot. Like, I don't know, on stage.
Oh, I was gonna ask you about how much thought you put into stuff you wear on stage. Yeah, you try not to be hot. That's smart. I think it's good.
Because people
you hear that melody.
No, but that's what this sucks. It's like when I see her on stage being literally Margot Robbie.
Okay, I'll just say it. Melody couldn't not be hot. So, like, she doesn't. What is she gonna do? Like,
there was a time where, like, I saw her Wayward or something. She's like, yeah, she's like, I'm feeling like shit. I look like shit.
Like, you're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I was like, I look like a crackhead when I like don't even put an eyelash on, dude. Like, shut. But yeah, it's one of those things that she can kind of get away with it, and I feel like not that I can't. It's a personal preference.
No. It's smart. I think
I just don't. When people catch me outside of mics, like I'll go to Gracie's, like Chris Banks will be bartending. Yeah. He's like I don't have my glasses. He's like, wait, Jocelyn? I'm like, yeah.
I think it's smart. I think it's harder to do comedy if your outfit makes it seem like you're trying to be cool or trying to be hot. Yeah. I think it's harder.
Yeah, and I want to know the laughs. Because if I can go on stage going like, well, I ain't got no makeup on, I'm dressed like a dude, you're laughing because my writing's funny.
That's
like,
true.
There's no way you're laughing at me because you're like,
maybe she'll fuck me. Like, God,
like,
dude, guys are so lame that's even like an option.
And like, and that's the thing too is like, not to like bring up Kill Tony, but that's something I did think about going on was like, I had an outfit pack that was dolled up. Like I could have walked out dolled up and like I had lashes and like this whole thing, but then like last second I was like, no. I kind of just want to go out no makeup. Like I went out no makeup and just fucking. Just me, how I would dress going to Wayward or going to fucking whatever. Right. And that, with that being said, I got trashed in the Reddit. But with that being said, beside the trash comments, I got people going like genuinely like this girl was.
Hey, the more they talk about you, the better. Right. Whatever.
And so, and there were some funny fucking comments. There were some that were like, oh, this is mean. But there were some that's like, no, that's solid. Like there's one I screenshotted one and I'm having it printed on a shirt right now, and I'm just wear it at the mics.
Awesome.
Like but yeah, that's the thing is like I feel like it's easy for me, peace of mind. Like maybe you see me on stage and you're just kind of like, she's not funny. But peace of mind for me is like, if you laughed, at least I know you weren't laughing because you're like, want to fuck me after the show or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I've yet to have a fucking male comic be like, hey, girl, you want to write sometime?
No way, really?
I wouldn't call him a comic. That's the thing.
There we are.
The two that happened, I'm like, well, you don't do shows. Like, you're not a comic.
That's funny. I'm surprised it hasn't been more of a problem, to be honest.
I've
heard some stories about the Phoenix comedy scene that make it seem like not that cool.
Okay, this is the thing. Not maybe so much with hey, let's write sometime, but I've had other male comics come up to me and be like, hey, X so and so was saying this. Is that true? And I'm like, fuck no. What? Like that's been the
interesting,
case, but not so much like directly coming to me. But I think when I first 6 or 7 months of me being in comedy, I had a boyfriend, and a lot of my material was about that.
Sure,
I had a lot of material like boyfriend, blah, 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 blah. And then like being outside of like being single now, like I have jokes that are like about being single, but I still like, I think I present myself in a way that's like, I think I present myself in a way that's like, I don't fuck. Like I just like think that's my presence. I was like, I don't fuck. Like people don't see me and go, I'm going to fuck that.
Well, that's probably like,
and I'm okay with that. Like
it's probably good for comedy. Like,
yeah. I don't want to walk into Blue Shooters and be the one they want to fuck. Like
sure, that's a good thing too.
Know?
Also, like just in terms of like stage presence, being like the girl who fucks a lot or the guy who fucks a lot is like a weird. Like
it's a card
like
you have to
especially
play.
I guess as a guy, as a woman, it's more believable. As a guy, if somebody goes on stage and is like, I get laid a lot, it's like, do you?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, tell us about the pussy you get.
Right?
Dude.
Yeah. My immediate reaction is just like, sure, guy.
Yeah, but when a girl does it, it's
a
like,
little more believable.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
but it's probably still good for your like just your persona to not be like the like. I get fucked a lot. Like
honestly, like I need. Just like one of these things, like talking about in conversation, I'm like, honestly, I just need to start leaning into the fact that I don't get dick. Like people always assume they're like, oh, you're like, I get like, people always just say like, oh, I assume you just get dick and all this comics and shit. I'm like, no, that's what's going on. Like I'm not getting like I need to lean into that more. I don't know what's going on, but it's probably because I do dress like a fucking 10-year-old boy sometimes on stage.
I'm
like,
just honestly so surprised the Phoenix comedy scene's been so respectful. Like it's blowing my mind right now that people
no dick pics, please.
that like you weren't just like, no, I get hit on constantly. But shout out to the boys, I guess. Like we do have a fucking 16. The people that are regularly at Wayward, I fuck with all of you.
Yes.
Bullshooters, I fuck with all you.
Yes.
There's a lot of cool people here.
Yeah.
I guess especially kind of like the open mic scene right now. Like a lot of the like upper echelon people that don't really come down and like you don't really see at mics, but you like meet at shows and shit. A lot of them seem like kind of shitty people or whatever.
Yeah, like I feel like those older gen, like the the ones that were like, oh, I got popular 4 years. Like I started featuring headlining.
Like I haven't heard very many shitty stories about young comics.
Well, I guess, okay, now you're saying that, like there is one where I don't obviously want to name, but like there is one, like it's that one of those ones where it's like they've been doing comedy about 10 years. They got more popular about 3-4 years ago. But when I was going to Austin and like making the carpool like thing, they were just, it's so stupid. Like I made a story that was like, hey, any comics interested in Austin, hit me up. And he replied to it and he's like, I'm opening for big name drop here in Austin. I would sneak you in my luggage if I could. And and I was just kind of like, okay, so are you serious about this trip or what are you doing? Like I don't. That's like the only thing.
Shout out to Rob, maybe. No, I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't Rob.
No, we love Rob. Rob's
awesome. Rob's the man.
Rob's awesome.
Rob's the man. Okay, good.
If it was Rob, I would have been like, and Rob, you stupid fuck. No.
I only say that because I love Rob and I haven't heard
awesome.
any awful stories about him.
No, straight
I
up.
mean that for real.
Listen, let me add this. When I first met Rob, I'm like, yeah, this guy would harass me if I was waitressing right now. Like,
he looks like a bad person.
Yeah,
Rob
but then you talk to him and you're like,
he's not.
I'm a dick. I'm a piece of shit.
Dude,
yeah.
Have you been to Backstreet Asia?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jesse's Have you done Purple Turtle?
No, thank
I've
God.
done
I don't think I
Turtle.
would, even if you asked
You
me
should
at this
do- you
point.
should do
No,
it.
I don't think I would.
Come on, you got it once.
Every week, I live 10 minutes from Backstreet. Every week
you're right
on
here.
Friday, I'm like, I feel like getting on stage. Backstreet's right there. It's like, I don't want to see fucking Jesse, dude.
respect.
He's so crazy.
That backstreet was one of the ones that I went to as an audience member.
Yeah. Oh, what?
And that was why I didn't do it as a comic.
Yeah. Don't worry, dude.
Yeah, it made me intimidated. I was like, this is a lot.
I found out how his deal works there is he gets paid 10% of all the sales that happen while the show's running. So he's incentivized to keep the show running as long as possible.
And that's why I feel like why he lets comics go. Because Purple Turtle, he lets
one time I showed up there and nobody else did. Jesse's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go up and do half an hour. Then you're going to go up and do as much time as you want. Then I'm going to get on the stage again after you. So he goes up, does half an hour. I go up, do half an hour. I leave. I'm not staying to watch another Jesse set. And then I get home and he's like, hey man, I did 40 minutes after you left. I was like, yeah, I bet the people there were stoked about that, dude. Jesus Christ. It's just people trying to eat dinner. They didn't know there was a show going on.
That's the thing.
I felt so indulgent doing a half an hour for them. They were so nice. They were like laughing and being cool.
Yeah. And you're just like, okay, well now I'm going to go get the fuck out of your way now. Goodbye. God. Like, yeah, I don't know. Purple Turtle was, it's at that Maryvale bar. It's like this.
Yeah.
And everyone says it's ghetto. I don't know. I think it's not as ghetto as some bars could be. They have a vending machine with condoms, raw papers, and tampons.
Okay, that's pretty ghetto.
Yeah. There's like ammo in there.
Ammo?
There's like a fake cease and desist if you needed the
gold chains. What are you saying?
Fake piss for like a drug test in there. But yeah. But they that's the thing is like I was intimidated to do that because everyone's like, you're a white girl and that's like a black Mexican bar. Best set I've ever run. One of the best sets. I did 15 minutes of just talking.
Yeah.
But it's that thing where it's like 30 minutes of Jesse, but the headliner also did like 40. But this was my first time meeting Jesse. Like I had never met him at the time, and I thought he was gay. I thought I thought he was a gay guy. And then the first two
crazy. Why would you think that?
The first 2 minutes though, he was like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to have a girl here tonight." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like copped that. I'm like, "Okay, you got a girl. Cool." And then his whole set was just talking like about this like metaphorical girl that was supposed to be there that night. And I was like, okay, cool.
He's really deep in the closet.
And I'm like, no, that's cool. But then like he came up to me and he like gave me the bucket and he was like, now pass this around for the tips.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, cool. And then I realized I was like, I became the bucket girl.
Yeah. You're a pretty good choice if I'm being honest.
Bobby Mata was on the ticket. We could have given it to Bobby. He's a hot chick if you squint.
Yeah. That's a good rule.
Love Bobby.
Yeah. Talk more about Kill Tony. What a cool experience.
I like to just talk more about the Austin experience. Like Kill Tony was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. But I feel like going out there was just the way we did, like me and like the group of dudes just carpooling out there.
Yeah.
Sharing a hotel. It's like that. It's what all our favorite, like our heroes talk about. Like,
of course,
like having a
being on the road, but like not being able to afford it is pretty fun.
And then having like, we're all in this nasty hotel room together. And just like the first 5 minutes of Austin was funny because we drove 15 hours, get there in the middle of the day on a Thursday, 80% humidity, Super 8 hotel, check in. We had a lot of the boys flew and they used us as like a cattle car. Like we're not paying for whatever, like carry on. Yeah, they carry on. So they put all of our shit in our car. So we were just little maids, like putting all their stuff.
I mean, it's probably just cheaper to fly too, right?
We know that now. We know that now. But the rental car sucks too. But so we move everything into the room. And then I think Maxwell Anthony, he goes to pee, right? He goes to pee. Toilet doesn't flush. And he's like, okay, lifts the lid, like do old school way.
Yeah.
There's a human shit in the tank of this toilet.
God damn it.
This is the first 5 minutes of like the hotel. So I was like, oh fuck. So I moved back to we move all of our stuff back to the lobby. They give us a new room, move all of that stuff to the new room. They put a $200 hold on my card when we checked in. Yeah. They were like, oh yeah, like you'll get this when you check out. And I'm like, this is my entire beer fund for the night. Like, this is this is rough. I'm gonna be drinking cheap tonight. Like this sucks. But so there's the shit in the toilet, the $200 hold on my card. I'm just trying to play it cool. Like, no, I'm just happy to be here. Yeah. We get the new room. I go up there. There's no vending machines in this place. I just want a fucking Dr. Pepper. And
Yeah.
so like I go to the front and I was like, do you guys have any drinks? And she's like, yeah, we got like blah, blah, blah. She gets me a Dr. Pepper, gives it to me. It's warm.
Jesus
I still don't
Christ.
say anything. I'm like, whatever. I give her my card. She charges $5 to my card for this little short can of it. So I took a shit in the tank of this. no, but that was like the first 10 minutes of our
You're like, I get now why they did.
I get why they did it,
Fuck
dude.
this place.
That whole place was a
Hotels
shit show.
suck.
But the experience outside of that, like just you can hit like 6 mics in a night and
It's
walk.
the best,
and
yeah.
walk to that.
A lot of other cities are better than Phoenix for that. In
Yeah.
Portland, you could get at least when I was near there, you could get up 3 or 4 times in a night pretty easily.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I took. I guess like when I was there, it was like,
Here,
oh, we don't have it that good.
You're lucky
Yeah.
if there's 2 that you can get to.
You can drive to and beg the first guy to put you on first.
Right, like
yeah.
yeah,
It's rough.
it's pretty lucky that you get 2. It's nice. Cedar just started that one right by Wayward. That's
Chambers.
actually like pretty good.
I need to do that.
I
one.
went over there and like, it's not like the perfect setup, but I think it's gonna work.
No. I'm going to go to that one this Thursday. I wanted to do Wayward one more time this last Thursday, but then I saw the thing is it's like 9 p.m., right?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like I work Fridays, but I can go to work one Friday fucking
a little tired,
a little tired, a little sleepy.
a little hungover.
A little sleepy.
Do you drink?
I try not to on school nights, but obviously doing
School nights.
doing open mics. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
a baby. No, but yeah, I try not to. I'm not I mean, I don't know. I come from a family of alcoholics, so I'm able to be like,
I don't drink at
I'm
all.
like, yeah,
I
I'm
feel
like,
weird about it. I'm always tipping like $5 for waters and shit because like I want the bartender to like me.
still make money.
And they're like,
stuff,
you don't
yeah.
need to do this. I'm like, I do. Like,
Yeah.
You're gonna hate me for
Yeah, I
being
don't want you
here
to be-
otherwise.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like when I would, because the first couple of months, I would honestly say I didn't start drinking at open mics until like 3 months ago. So
That's
like,
good.
For the longest time, I was just like, no, like I'll go to Wayward. I'm like, just give me a liquid death, Alex.
Yeah.
You know, just give me the water. You know, and that's that. But I was still like, here's $10. You know, like, here's a fat tip. I just don't want you to hate me and be like, yeah. I feel that. I feel
always.
that. 100%.
I mean, early on, I didn't really get it, like how much that like you should be supporting these venues. I'm like, we're doing them a favor. We're providing free entertainment. No, dog. It's crazy anybody puts up with us.
No, and they hear some of the worst sets multiple like every week. They hear some of the same, like worst they really do put up with us, and we thank you guys 100%. But the thing too is like bartenders here in Phoenix, let's say like they're not open like running and bartending during an open mic.
Yeah.
I feel like the bartenders here are kind of dicks outside of that. Like I feel like versus other towns, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm doing you a service. No,
There's a lot of
but the ones that actually work open mics treat us pretty nice considering the fact that they're having to work open mic nights.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
they could be way meaner.
Some of
to
them.
us.
Did you ever do Tempe Tavern?
No.
Oh my God, they hated us so much. The waitresses hated us so much, and like made it so obvious. I mentioned it almost every time I went on stage there. Like I would just make fun of like because like everybody would just get waters. Nobody would tip. Fucking very few people.
As a
like,
server bartender, though, I get it. I would hate you guys too.
oh, they
100%.
should hate us.
Like I would
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and I bet you a lot of them would still hit on the bartenders
Oh,
too.
of course,
Yeah, so I would hate it too. Respect.
People would get in fights and shit. Oh, they hated us.
They hated
I'm pretty sure they took this, like, Jeremy, who was running that mic, had a contract that said the open mic would go as long as there was a stage to perform on. And I'm pretty sure they ripped out the stage just to end the open mic, dude.
It's like a blue tarp on the table.
They were paying him $100 a week to run the worst open mic in the valley.
Shout out Tempe Town.
I miss it, but god damn, dude. It was a nightmare.
It's not a good business decision.
Yeah.
Not a good business decision.
It's funny. Devin was making fun of them, though. They're like, he's like, what are you going to replace the stage with? More empty tables? So fucking funny. What else about Austin? Anything else you like that struck you or you thought was cool or whatever?
I think was cool was like the a lot of drink specials. If you're on a mic, if you're like, yeah, I signed up for the mic, they're like, cool, here's your $6 beer and a shot special.
Oh, word.
Yeah, like
Oh, you had to pay still?
not
like-
to be on the mic. Like if
No.
you-
But
yeah.
like there was a like I used to do a mic in Eugene where they give you a drink ticket and you got a free drink.
And I feel like I've here in Phoenix just never heard of that, like until I got to Austin.
Yeah.
Like here in Phoenix, as far as I know, I don't know. Yeah, anyone. That
I don't know how
that.
they made it work there. Now looking back at it.
Yeah, but Austin, they were like a lot of the mics were straight up like, oh, let the bartender know.
It was a fucking good time. Everybody was in a good mood because they got a free drink. It's a popular mic.
And I think that's a good enticer too. But it's also
actually,
hard to
you know what?
out.
Probably. If you give out a free drink, anybody who shows up is going to buy another 2 or 3 anyways. Yeah. Like the kind of person that hears like, oh, I get a free drink for performing comedy. Yeah. They probably buy alcohol.
I got a type 5. I think I could do, you know? Yeah.
That's probably could work actually.
Yeah. I think just all around Austin was super amazing. And the thing with Kill Tony is like, I got a lot of good validation. Like I got invited back to Mitzi's afterwards, which was like I've wanted to do comedy since I was a little girl. Like I love comedy. I'm a big comedy fan. So like the whole Mitzi's environment is chill. Like you walk in and like he's got a whole booth that's just covered in like this whole table covered in candles, and there's a picture of Mitzi and like that's her booth. Like nobody can sit there. Like it's a very cool. Like if you're a comedy fan, it's definitely like Mecca. Yeah, it's like almost like wow. It's like okay. Like a very cool, humbling experience. And like I've had just a lot of people. I've had a couple comedy clubs reach out and they were just kind of like, hey, if you're serious about moving to Austin, like let us know. We start hiring around XYZ times. So for someone who's only been doing it a year, it just makes me hungry. That's it. Like Austin, like if you're hungry for comedy, it will leave you just like, yes, this is what I want to do. It's a cool town. I really love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any advice you have for somebody who's like just starting out comedy now that you've been doing it like a year? Anything you've learned in your first year that you wish you'd known sooner? Something like, because there are people who have just started doing comedy that listen to this. They tell me. I know.
Yeah, and there's a couple of them that I know who've like, I just started doing comedy. I'm like, really? Okay, cool. Yeah. I feel like the comparison, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
I think do not like legit. Obviously, it's compare. Compare. But don't sit on that. Like, don't sit on the comparison, because I feel like that kept me back from mics for like the longest time.
Oh, interesting.
And kept me back from like jokes that kill now. My crystal meth joke. I was scared to even do that joke for the longest time because I'm like, I think it's just too. But it's one that people tell me is like their favorite joke.
Of course, that always happens.
Yeah, and so I feel like and the only reason I didn't tell it because I'm like, well, there's not a lot of people talking about like this, like that, you know, like so I just comparison, and I feel like just don't like compare yourself in the aspect of like how can I be better, but don't be like, well, I can never do that show, so why do I even try? Right, you know, and I feel like that's hard not to get in that headspace.
Yeah, and remember that, like, everybody has their own pace in comedy. It's, like, can be really frustrating sometimes, like, how quickly some people get things and how slow other people seem to take for things. And, like, just remember, like, it's your own pace, and there's not really a lot you can do to control that. Like,
some of the best. I mean, Louis C.K. What was it? Years until he became the biggest name ever. And but some of them are, I've been doing 2 years, and now they have Netflix special. Whatever the case it is, that's just like,
well, that's very, very rare. But like that's the point, is that some people get it so quick compared to others, and there's not a lot of good that comes from worrying about all that.
No, that's my biggest thing.
Awesome. Dude, thank you for being here. This was so much fun.
Of course. I love fun.
Do you have anything? Plug your Instagram.
Yes, comicjocelynporter. That's pretty much it. I just run Instagram. I need to get on the TikTok.
Yeah.
I haven't yet.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I know so many people that like have 70,000 followers on TikTok, and then they have put on a show and nobody shows up. And you're like, does this mean anything? Whereas Instagram seems to have more of like that seems like, what, like the insights, do you have the insights turned on? Like when I see that, I'm like, that's actual girth of people, you know? Whereas TikTok, I feel like it might just be Indian bots that are following me. It feels weird.
I'm not versed in that world to be able to tell. So I might just overinflate my ego. If I got like 70K, I'd be like, I got 70K on TikTok, bitch, you know?
You got any shows coming up?
I got tonight.
It will not be out by tonight.
Endgame went great.
But hey, just so you know, she's booked tonight. You can't go, but she's booked tonight.
I killed it tonight, I'm sure. No, Dublin. When does it come out?
All Dustin shows are great, so I'm sure you'll do great.
I got a Dubliner shirt, July 12th.
Okay, go after that.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. That's his first show at that venue. Shout out to Dustin. Dustin's cool.
Dustin, we love you.